Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Fan Focus by Anfield Index. I bet you've been smiling all day. I bet, good money, you've tried to download, watch, read as much content as you can about last night. I bet you've watched the goal a lot of times. I bet you've watched highlights of Connor Bradley, McAllister, Salah, Szoboslai, Florian Wirtz. I bet you can even tell me how far we ran, kilometres-wise, can't you? Because that's how we felt on Cloud 9 since last night. But here we are, Wednesday, the 5th of November. I'm your host, Dave Davis, coming to you from fireworks are banging off in Edinburgh. I'm sure they are everywhere else. Enjoy your fireworks night. Take care of your pooches, because they seem to struggle a bit with the noises and the bangs, don't they? But nothing was struggled about last night, was it? It was absolutely brilliant. And having had a scan through, probably like you, all the fan takes, the different accounts, there is some absolutely sensational content. You cannot ignore it whatsoever. Now, the best bits, I'm sure you agree on this, and throw your comments in the chat panel. You may have different thoughts. It's the compilations, isn't it? You know, when you see the bits of the chances we create, the Wirtz bits, the link up between Szoboslai and Salah, whatever it may be, those are always the best. Then let me save you a little bit of a job, if you haven't done it already, and hoard all these together for you. Now, if you want to have a look at the chances we created, shout out to LFC Savvy, double V, this account. 2 minutes 19 of every chance Liverpool created in this one. Absolutely brilliant video. I tell you what, I'd forgot as well. How many pings did Dominic Szoboslai have? Remember last season there were bits when we were like, to show confidence, why is he passing? Now, because he's on Cloud 9, he's just pinging them from anywhere. And when I say pinging them, on target. He was forcing Courtois into saves repeatedly, wasn't he? So well worth 2 minutes, 19 seconds of your time on this one. And shout out to this account as well. You probably know this one. You might have seen it already. Counter presses. This was a great video. Just over 6 minutes as well. See, I can pan out your night for you here all night, ladies and gents. This one from counter presses for 6 minutes or so around Hugo Ekitike. As it says, his skill set provides the solutions Liverpool have not previously had. Against Real Madrid, they were able to go long to Ekitike, trusting his ability to retain possession and combine with his teammates. Look, and this is true, you almost forget stuff from last night. Look at some of his combinations with Florian Wirtz off the scale. There's at least 4 in this video that are well worth a watch. Trust me, if you've got a few minutes for this one. This one's only a few seconds, but he only came on for literally a little bit at the end, but he made a massive impact, actually, when you watch his little bit of highlights, Federico Chiesa. But this video, I wouldn't say I forgot about him, but I think it slows it down and just shows how good the 3 touches are that he had. And shout out here to Chiesa LFC account. Brings it down, spins, and flicks it round the corner. And if you don't remember it, it's that one where he puts it out wide to Salah. And do you remember Salah should really play Gakpo through, was on his bike, but doesn't quite get the pass right? All came from a sensational touch from Federico Chiesa. So there's 8.5 minutes of pure filth for you to devour already. But I ain't finished there. Get it to 11 minutes or so. Because shout out to counter presses again here. You've got to have some Connor Bradley footage in there, haven't you? As he's tweeted with the video, 2.5 minutes or so, Connor Bradley was flawless against Vinny Jr. Look at how he used his physical frame so well and intelligently to disrupt him as early as possible. I haven't seen a right-back lock down Vinicius like that since Reece James a couple of years ago. Not so sure about Reece James. I'm pretty sure he'd have been injured a couple of years ago. But, you know what, I'll take that comparison. Not that we really care. But there's 11 minutes. And you may well have watched highlights, BT, TNT, whatever it's called. They had their normal things as well. The official site had theirs, but that 11 minutes, well worth your time if you get it back. In terms of tweets to go alongside it, Conor Bradley deserves all the praise in the world. How about this for a photo? Take that all day, won't we? The Conor Bradley penitentiary that we were now steering into. Vinny Jr., he didn't have any joy whatsoever, did he? And if you disagree with that at all, bit of a shout out to Brand Barry over this one. Look at this for a tweet. You've got to feel for Vinny Jr. there. He's probably been coated in training for months against Trent, thinking he's boss. Then he comes up against Conor Bradley, who put him in his place well and truly. Another shout out to Brand Barry for this, because all that time from when Trent tweeted it on May the 26th, I do like how Brand Barry harbours these grudges and just brings things up. That takes commitment on a serious level, to be fair. And last night he posted it. Now it is that fairy tale ending. Got booed. Nightmare for Real. Nightmare for him. An absolute dream for us. And the final Trent one, which I thought was funny. It may disagree, but I did just like the comparison. Shout out to 22 Hater on this from that account. About Trent. Because someone had tweeted his suits white more than his suits red. Clearly a Madrid fan account. The reply was, the way he's lost his aura with this move is hilarious. Tuchel just gives off Daryl Janmat vibes now. I had forgot about Daryl Janmat. I think what do they say nowadays? A proper Barclays man. He was at Watford, wasn't he? When they played a 3-5-2. Always wore the headband and the armbands and different bits. I thought that was a good line myself. Now, we talked before about why I like doing this show, because fans give you the best take, the real insights, giving their opinions, educated as well, understand how the fan base thinks, how the fan base talks as well. It's great to see. But I can't stop saying this enough, because you just keep seeing it time after time. The national media are just so disconnected, ignorant, stupid, maybe all of the above, on how they, position this Trent coverage. Maybe they're just doing it purposely. But in terms of Moron of the Week, that goes this time round to Oliver Brown at the Telegraph. I mean, look at that for ultimate out of touch. Liverpool fans look small-minded and parochial for booing Trent Alexander-Arnold. No, they don't. We all knew exactly why he got booed. We're in no doubts at all. Carragher, to be fair, summed it up quite well, didn't he? On CBS there at the same time. Just shows how out of touch the national media are with everything around this. They really are. And shout out to Tony, because he's put there, I'm glad Slot has calmed down all consistent player swapping and sticking to a core unit of players. Got to talk about that, Tony, as well. The core players, the shape, all that type of thing as well. Before we get to that, though, Virgil was brilliant last night, wasn't he? Brilliant on the pitch, but you'd have seen the bits with Rooney. And shout out to the rap on this, because that's a great photo. Because a account called, if I'm getting it right, Ronaldo Brown 98 said, Van Dijk couldn't even make eye contact this whole segment. Owning Rooney, my ass. Maybe, just maybe, Ronaldo Brown, you should think about the evidence that's in place before you make foolish comments like that. And in terms of sort of photos that Virgil was involved in as well, Steve Halliwell, you've probably seen him do, works for the club, does absolutely sensational work. For me, the best fan photo account, if you want to call it that. It's always absolutely brilliant. Wiz has his own company there. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. But if you don't follow Steve Halliwell, you've got to. Absolutely got to. His pictures and everything around that are absolutely sensational. So shout out to this one. Now, Up the Reds, 977 there, if I'm pronouncing it right, saying, did you see what Arsene Wenger said about Wirtz? What a sad, bitter old man. we are going to talk about Florian Wirtz and how that worked the other night and all the takes and our thoughts. And we'll start with Arsene Wenger very shortly. But just before we get to that, he's right to talk about the shape of the team last night with Florian Wirtz coming in on the left for Cody Gakpo. That was the only change, wasn't it, from the weekend, which I could show you 1,000 examples of fan accounts on this. Might be wrong, but I didn't see anyone going, oh, it's a shame Cody Gakpo's out. Pretty unanimous across the fan base. Now, that just where it jumps on me. That doesn't mean, as people have tweeted and said, hold on, we use him in the right game, etc. But it was a popular decision, wasn't it? And the small adjustment in shape, which we will talk about as well. There's also, I bet you can quote some of these, some banging stats in place at the same time. And we'll start with a little bit of authorised Dominic Szoboslai propaganda. Now, shout out to Jimmy. You'll know who he is, my Hungarian counterpart. Absolutely brilliant. If you don't follow him, Borbali #Imre, I'm probably pronouncing out, butchering that. My apologies, Jimmy. I just ain't fluent in Hungarian. But what did he tweet? He tweeted about Dominic Szoboszlai, sensational again. Look at this for some stats. 28 out of 33 passes, 85%. 5 shots with 4 on target. Worked Courtois overtime, didn't he? XG, 0.54. XA, 0.42. Got the assist for the free kick, didn't he? The set piece. 54 chances and created, 54 touches even, I'd be insane, wouldn't it? Created 3 chances and so active out of possession. Look at that for a heat map. Absolutely insane, isn't it? So shout out to Jimmy for that first bit of propaganda for Dominic Szoboszlai. The second bit, as much as he usually brings us stats, Sam Maguire there. This is a good article for Squawker. Could Dominic Szoboszlai be the best midfielder in the world right now? Now, Sam won't appreciate me saying this, but I can save you all a bit of time. Yes, you probably don't need to read the article to do that. But in his defence, it is a good one. And it does bring some stats, some bits about his varying position, and also the bit which I really liked, which I think you saw and we'll talk about in Shapes and Stats. A few clocked on this on their accounts. Szoboszlai, Wirtz, and Salah. We're seeing that link up between them as well, aren't we? Really good. And up the rest, 977 there saying, no disrespect to Cody, but he's a backup left wing at best. Yeah, I think people have seen the change on this, and we'll go a little bit into Florian Wirtz, but just sticking on a bit of Shapes and Stats. If we're going to talk Liverpool, we've got to talk the King, and we've got to give some props to the King. So there's a few here. So shout out to this account, FC Salah 11, with some hard stats. Mo Salah completed the most dribbles, 5, and won the most duels, 9, versus Real Madrid. Great performance without goals and assists. I thought he was brilliant. And it's weird as I'm saying this, because I've seen other fan accounts saying Carreras locked him up and, he was brilliant. I think both can be true. I thought Carreras had a very good game. He impressed me, to be fair, but we saw Salah put him on his arse a few times as well. Sometimes it can be even, can't it? And in fact, when I say even, he did Carreras at the end. Remember that one where he puts it across, a bit of a Trivela, and Gakpo gets onto it, but hits it straight at Courtois, who was just annoying as normal, wasn't he? So, yeah, you've got to get some Egyptian King prop in there. And speaking of more Egyptian King propaganda, of course, there's various nerds, but at Anfield Index, we wheel them out like prize marrows at a country fair. So when Eddie and Gags want our nerds, you call on the assortment, don't you, on your patch? You ask a Barts, you ask a Kennett to bring out the best nerdy stats. And I'm saying this with the greatest respect because they've got some good stuff, to be fair. But look at this from Dan on his Blue Sky. Shout out to Mr. Kennett here. Mo Salah completed more dribbles, so 5, against Aston Villa than the rest of his 25-26 season combined. That's insane, isn't it? And last night, 5 more, as he says, against Real Madrid. So 10 in 2 games, which actually matches his previous dribble total from the previous 20 games. Cheeky Git didn't get back to me because I actually messaged Dan to say, what do you reckon it is? Why are we seeing more Salah dribbles? He hasn't actually come back to me. He could be doing a multitude of things. But what is it, do you reckon? Is he being instructed to do it more? Is he more confident? Has something changed? But it's a pretty stark stat, that, isn't it? It's a standout one. That in his last 2 games, dribbles-wise, he's matched his previous 20. I don't know. Maybe it's as simple as the fact that we're getting Mo Salah on the ball more, and we're letting Mo Salah do his thing. But it's just been on it for the last 2 games. So a little bit more propaganda for shapes and stats. Now, shout out when we're talking about the shape. I know you'll be aware of this account. Distance Covered, Josh Williams. Great pod, great contact for various channels. Thought this was a great interview to call out. I can't play it annoyingly because we get shut down, even though I give credit to the right channel. But as Josh tweeted, nice line from Slot this. High press or low block. No in between. Not something we'd have ever done under Klopp. I like that. I really like that as well. I think that's absolutely on the money. And it was a great snippet. So it's on Josh's account. It's on a few places if you want to watch it. But it's on a Slot saying the one thing we couldn't do is say, just allow the likes of Vinicius and Mbappe with the pace they can generate to get like a juggernaut, a head up of steam. It had to be one or the other. It had to be the high press or the low block. It couldn't be in between. And he's right. It's not always something we adopted under Jurgen, was it? And maybe, who knows, shoulda, woulda, coulda, why we didn't enjoy as much success on that. So well worth a shout out, that one. He can be annoying at times, but this I thought was bang on the money from Sam Maguire as well, this tweet, with some great photos here. How well it looked, building with, as he tweeted, building with a double pivot again, and Liverpool all of a sudden looked to be able to play football. And there's some great photos here, there really is. I mean, look at that first one. You can see Gravenberch and Szoboslai offering themselves to Bradley, double options. Even on this one, as you see it, as it moves, a double pivot there as well, McAllister dropping in. That was crucial last night, wasn't it? I think at times we've seen it this season, it's not always worked. It's just been Gravenberch in there and 2 ahead, as a few have commented. Just the options there for Virgil, for Canate, who, I'm not saying they ignored each other, but it was quite distinct, the lack of a passing chain between them last night as well, which we'll talk about. That double pivot, that subtle tweak has made an absolutely massive difference. So big shout out to Sam for that. And to be fair, he followed it up. I thought this was a good one as well to look at. As you say, the shape. Narrow and compact. Szoboszlai linking with Wirtz and Salah, as we mentioned before, key. Centre-backs ignoring each other in possession. Look at that. I feel like Carragher on his tablet type of thing. But there's no change there, is there? Between Canate and VVD. Look at that. Szoboszlai linking it between Ekitike. Strong there with Wirtz as well. Salah and Wirtz. Look at that, coming right inside. We will, of course, talk about Florian Wirtz very shortly. But the shape was absolutely fascinating, the way they did it last night as well. So much to like. Shout out to this one as well, and I never thought I'd utter these initials or words. It's quite clear who this account supports, but as it says there, HTOMUFSC. Oh, we'll ignore that bit. But tactical analyst for We Are the Overlap. This was, I thought, a real, and quite a few have retweeted this. I like this as well. This is why Szoboszlai is so crucial to the press for Liverpool. 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 press, keeping Salah higher than Wirtz. And I love the way we've got visuals. We breaks down the sequence, as he said. Szoboszlai covers Tchouaméni. The back pass is the trigger for Salah to move. Szoboszlai then steps onto the centre-back. Salah cuts off the pass to Carreras, and there's a squeeze, as it says, locking off on the byline. I mean, these are genuinely great photos. You can see how high up Szoboszlai is, but as it moves, look at Mo make the move. That's a bit annoying. It feels like, what's that one? Catchphrase, where it's not quite showing the full photo. You bugger display that. But anyway, hopefully that'll pop up for you in a second. But just in case you can't see or you haven't seen it, HTO MUFC, fair play. There's some cracking stills in there. And I think you saw that, didn't you, throughout this? Genuinely, some brilliant bits of the shape, the way we were in possession, the way we were out of possession.